How to Flirt with Women, a Crash Course. The good man's guide on how to make sure she feels that spark or chemistry every single time. You just went on a great date with a stunningly beautiful woman. You were already attracted to her as soon as you saw her first profile picture on the app. She looked like your exact type. The conversation over text went smoothly. During the date, you thought the chemistry was amazing. You had similar hobbies, a similar background, and you talked to each other as if you knew each other your whole lives. It seemed like the two of you had the exact same sense of humor, too. She was smiling and laughing the whole time. This is the best date you've ever had. You start imagining a future with this wonderful woman. I have to take her to this great restaurant next time, you think to yourself. She's going to love this show I'm planning to take her to. Wow, she sure is pretty. I wonder what my parents will think of her. I bet they'll love her. I think I'm falling in love already. Our future together is going to be so awesome. Now I don't have to be so lonely anymore. The date ends and you part ways, hopeful that the next date will be even better. You get home with a huge smile on your face, jump onto your bed, and roll around like a giddy little schoolgirl who just shook hands with her K-pop celebrity crush. You can't wait to see her again, so you text her a nice post-date message like the gentleman you are. Did you get home safe? I had a wonderful time. Can't wait to take you to place next time. You wait for her reply, but an hour passes and your phone has no new notifications. She's probably busy showering, you rationalize to yourself. There's no possible way she wouldn't be excited too, right? She'll reply. Just gotta wait a bit more. You can't sleep because you can't stop thinking about every little thing about her and how you're gonna soon have an amazing girlfriend. You're also waiting for her text reply and the anticipation is keeping you up. How are you supposed to sleep with all this dopamine pumping through your head? Eventually, though, it gets really late and you fall asleep. You wake up to your morning alarm and you shoot straight up out of bed, reaching for your phone before thinking of anything else. You want to see if she replied. Nothing. That's strange, you mutter to yourself. You want to text her again, but stop yourself so that you don't look too desperate. You go to work and you're glowing with hope and optimism the whole day. You just can't seem to stop smiling. The only times you don't have that stupid grin on your face are when you check your phone every 20 minutes and see that there are no new notifications. You're sure that she'll reply soon, though. That date was just perfect, after all. You get home from work and finally feel your phone vibrate, alerting you that you have a new message. You pull your phone out of your pocket so fast that you almost drop it. Damn it, you yell out as you realize it's just a work-related message. You'll deal with it tomorrow. It's not something you can just put off until tomorrow, though. You start getting a series of messages from your team at work about an urgent matter. You sit down at your computer to log into your work email to check it in greater detail. You scroll through all those phone notifications to make sure you're getting all the relevant information about the problem. The messages keep coming in and you're growing more and more frustrated about the client who's causing these issues. Among the dozens of annoying work messages, a different kind of notification suddenly comes in. It's her. She finally messaged you back. The huge smile you were wearing the whole day at work shows up on your face again, relieved that something good is finally happening to you today. You're so glad to have something lift you up while you were growing more and more frustrated and angry about this work matter. You think that she's like an angel sent to save you and make you feel all better. You can't check her message immediately, though. You spend the next 15 minutes dealing with this work problem. You decide that you'll need to check her message as a reward at the end, like a milkshake after a hard workout. After resolving the work issue, you take a deep breath and smile at your phone. You open her message, expecting something nice. What went wrong? You thought that date went perfectly. And it's not like you're unattractive. You're tall. You're fit. You're no male model, but you're not bad looking by any means. You have a stable job with a decent income. You have a car. You have a normal social circle and decent social skills. You have good hygiene. You just can't figure out why women keep telling you that they don't feel that spark or chemistry. You feel like the female half of the species is gaslighting you because you're absolutely certain that the chemistry was there. You definitely felt it. Why didn't she? There is one simple answer. You didn't flirt. If you want a woman to feel that spark or sexual chemistry or romantic chemistry, you absolutely need to flirt with her. If you don't know how to flirt with a woman, she will never feel like you're anything more than just a friend. Sure, that date went really well from your perspective. You connected with her and built really great rapport. You felt closer to her than you've ever felt with anyone else. You sure as hell never felt that connected to any male friends. She has, though. She felt that same friendly connection with so many other people before. It wasn't that special to her like it was for you. The connection she felt with the guy she met right after ending that date with you, however, was a lot more intense for her. She wasn't answering your text because she was busy doing something else with him. And she felt connected with him enough to do that because he turned her on with his flirting skills. He knew how to flirt, both verbally and non-verbally. He made her feel that spark, and it was enough to make her choose him over you, even though you're quote-unquote better than him in every other way that you can imagine. He's not even that tall or good-looking. He's also in between jobs at the moment and can't afford to pay for her meals. His sense of humor is completely different from hers, but she laughs at all his jokes anyway because he flirts with her. It's different from when she laughs at your jokes. When she laughs at his jokes, she's looking at his face more. There's a different kind of glimmer in her eyes. Her voice has a higher pitch, and she touches him while she's laughing. And she finishes off that laugh with a sultry bite of her lower lip. He makes her feel that spark, or that chemistry, because he knows how to flirt. On the other hand, she feels like you're just a friend because you don't know how to flirt. If you learn this skill, everything will change for you. Women you meet will finally feel that spark or chemistry that they're always looking for, and you wouldn't even have to be tall, good-looking, or rich to do it. If you learn this skill, the women you're actually interested in will stop saying you're just a friend. If they do, it'll be less like the previous example and more like this. And I promise you that this skill we call flirting is not even that hard to learn. To some of you watching this right now, flirting is already a basic skill you just automatically know how to do, whether you can explain it or not. If that's you, you're one of the lucky ones. If you're able to break it down and explain the mechanics, please spread the good word to the lonely men around you. Most people can't do that though, so I'm here to do just that. To those of you who have no idea what to do when it comes to flirting, I hope this little crash course helps you. Mindset. No matter what techniques you use on a woman, nothing will ever work if you have the wrong mindset. In fact, having the right mindset oftentimes leads a man to inadvertently flirting with women successfully, even if he didn't know he was doing it. Two of the biggest mindset problems a lot of guys have are actually the opposite. On one hand, some guys overstep boundaries and aren't so respectful of things like consent. On the other hand, some guys are too careful about potentially overstepping boundaries and never even think of making a move. If you're that first type of guy, you need to pay close attention to Chapter 3 in my book, which I'll talk about a little later. It's important to familiarize yourself with consent and all the ways to navigate it. If you're the second type of guy, however, it means that a lot of women have probably called you a nice guy, and they see you as just a friend and never as a romantic option. It means you're scared of being seen as creepy, probably more than anything else in the world. It means you have low confidence and self-esteem when it comes to sexual expression. You might even think that men like sex more than women do. Whatever the case is, you're deathly afraid to express yourself sexually toward women. You think that women will feel offended if you do. You might even think that women will run away from you as fast as they can if you simply say that you find them attractive or beautiful. Context matters here. Yes, she might very well run away from you if she can feel that you're the type of guy who doesn't care about consent, that you objectify women, or she has no idea what kind of person you are when you're expressing yourself sexually. If you approach a woman you don't know and the first thing that comes out of your mouth is, "I want to squeeze your boobies," consider yourself lucky if all you get is a slap across the face. However, if you are able to take into consideration a woman's sense of safety and the objectification she probably encounters on a daily basis, you're probably able to express your sexuality and appreciation for her attractiveness in a way that's truly positive. The mindset shift you need here is this. Expressing your sexuality and attraction without shame is necessary for good flirting, and your expressions will be met with positive responses as long as you use enough tact. The tact I'm talking about involves understanding the fundamental differences between men's and women's sexualities. As a man, you know how your sexuality works already. You see hot girl, you feel attracted, little friend downstairs says hello. It's like a light switch. When you're on, you're on. For women, it's more like a dial. You have to warm up the oven before sticking in the turkey. Everything in this process should be treated like a gradual escalation. Therefore, the man approaching the woman saying, "I want to squeeze your boobies," is jumping the gun, to say the least. In terms of mindset, you need to believe 100% that it's perfectly fine to express how you really feel toward women, as long as your initial expressions aren't desperate or too intense. Of course, it should also go without saying that you should back off if you actually get negative feedback. I'm not saying that you should hide how you really feel, though. You need to get to a point of not being desperate on the inside first. If you aren't desperate, you'll be better able to not come off too strong too fast. However, if you are desperate, you're going to honestly feel like you want to jump into bed with the next pretty woman you see as soon as possible. It's easy to not possess this kind of desperation if you're already having enough sex, but if you're not, what can you do? There are many psychological hacks you can do to stop being desperate and start being more confident, many of which I teach in my book, but here's one simple mental shift that can help you achieve this. Be skeptical of a woman's outer beauty. Don't just decide that her appearance alone is good enough for you to go all in. That's like applying for a job just because you thought the company name sounded cool. That's stupid. You should really find out what kind of company it is first. In that same vein, allow yourself to feel more invested in a woman only after finding out more things that you like about her. And as she tells you more of these things, express your growing fondness just as gradually. The basic mindset here is this: I am not so easily won over just by appearance alone. It takes more than that to impress me. Of course, I'm not telling you to be some sort of snob who thinks he's too good for everyone else. I am telling you, however, not to be a desperate simp who would travel miles across the desert just to get a whiff of a girl's farts just because she's pretty. Verbal flirting. The thing that most teenage boys think of when they imagine flirting is pickup lines. Even when they become adults, a lot of men think that flirting is all about the words. Yes, there are certain sentences or combination of words that are flirtier than others. However, don't think of flirting as a script. It's not about reciting canned lines. Use the following techniques as conceptual themes to guide your conversations rather than as scripts. Here are 3 verbal flirting techniques you can start using right away. 1. Curiosity. In the context of flirting, this isn't just about being curious in a general sense. You can be curious about someone you have absolutely no attraction to and end up asking them questions just to find out more information. If you're curious about a mentor's expertise, you'll ask questions geared toward learning a skill. If you're curious about a friend's life problems, you'll ask questions geared toward consoling them or helping to find solutions. If you're curious about a woman you're attracted to, what's all of that going to be geared toward? It's to find out if there is more about her that excites you, turns you on, and inspires you to feel more alive around her. It's to find out if she's the right girl for you. That sort of curiosity can be extremely flirtatious. The easiest way to start coming up with relevant questions geared toward finding out if she's the right girl for you is to first have a good idea of what you're looking for in a woman past her appearance. Are you looking for a woman who loves animals or prefers not to have pets, is very compassionate or more conservative, likes to travel a lot or would rather relax at home? Think of every little possible detail of what kind of partner you think would be the best complement to your life, and write those characteristics down in a list. Add something new to this list every day. Revise anything in this list anytime you want. Look over this list constantly until you have a fairly solid idea of what kinds of women's personalities and backgrounds excite you. The more awareness you have of what you want, the easier it will be to come up with relevant questions on the fly. Those relevant questions will be loaded with your intentional energy of seeking an intimate connection. This will charge the conversation with the flirty energy, and she will feel it. 2. Emotional elicitation. This is just a fancy way of saying making her feel strong emotions. There are many ways to achieve this, and one of the most effective ways is to playfully use contrast. For example, a lot of Americans like using sarcasm playfully in their flirty conversations. There is contrast between the words you're saying and what you really mean. You could playfully tease her by calling her some weird nickname while still giving her a lot of warm, positive attention. There is contrast between the teasing and the positive attention. You could tell her to stop being so cute and sexy while lightly pushing her away with a flustered look on your face. There is contrast between the verbal approval and the nonverbal disapproval. No, I'm not condoning lying. If you do this right, it will be clear that you're not lying or playing games like some sort of manipulative child. Being playful is not the same thing as being deceptive. Utilizing contrast like this enhances the feeling that you would get from either of those feelings, and the positive ones will stand out as long as the negative ones aren't actually coming from a place of actual frustration. There are a lot more emotional elicitation techniques covered by my book, but this crash course is going to get way too long if I say any more here. Let's move on. 3. Sexual framing. And here's the most controversial one in this list of verbal flirting techniques. It's controversial because it's something you should definitely avoid using in certain contexts, like the workplace, or in the very first sentence you say to a woman you've never met before. However, as you build more and more rapport with a woman, and she's responding positively to the other two verbal flirting techniques, feel free to try sexual framing in a gradually escalating way. In short, sexual framing is anything that could cause her to think about sex. This is sometimes done by turning non-sexual things sexual by way of Freudian slips, double entendres, or the good old classic "that's what she said" joke. It can also be done by saying that you find something about her sexy when most guys wouldn't think of calling her sexy for that thing. A few nights ago, I was having a conversation with a woman at a bar who happened to be extremely intelligent. I was curious about her PhD topic and asked a few questions about it, and she started passionately talking about some physics concepts that I could barely keep up with. I rarely ever met women who had both looks and brains in such ample amounts, so I found myself being impressed and attracted to her. I told her that I found her intelligence very attractive and sexy, and we ended up embarrassing ourselves getting caught making out near the bar bathroom. Get used to using the word sexy in a non-predatory manner, and you'll notice a lot more doors opening up for you. I would cover more intense ways to use sexual framing here, but I'd probably get in trouble for it, so let's leave it at that for now. Nonverbal flirting. It's useful to know how to flirt using your words, but there is nothing more powerful than nonverbal flirting when it comes to attraction or seduction. None of us were born with the English language, or any country's language for that matter, encoded into our DNA. No matter how skillfully we put together a pattern of words, it can never have as big of an impact as nonverbal communication. There are no words anyone can say that will make you understand their happiness more than seeing their smile, and no words anyone can say that will make you feel more threatened than actually getting punched. We feel nonverbal communication on a visceral level, and it's something we must use in flirting. The following are 3 nonverbal flirting techniques you should definitely start using right away. 1. Eye signaling. Unless you have a neurodivergence which prevents you from doing so, you can tell that the woman in the photo above is smiling ever so slightly, even if you can't see her mouth. The eyes say so much. We get so much information from the countless signals people are always communicating with their eyes, regardless of whether they mean to communicate anything or not. This is especially true for women. Women often have full conversations with each other just through the signals they send each other with their eyes, unbeknownst to the men sitting at the same table. Start paying closer attention to the signals people are intentionally and unintentionally sending with their eyes, especially women. And practice intentionally communicating with your own eye signals more often. This is a language you must master if you want to be any good at flirting. Also, make a habit of holding eye contact with everyone by default. You don't want to be the guy whose eyes are always darting around or breaking eye contact too fast. That will make you seem less confident and therefore less attractive to women. If you can maintain eye contact with a woman when there are distractions that would cause most people to break that eye contact, that can be very sexy and flirtatious. This past summer, I was flirting with a woman who started unbuttoning the top of her blouse to show off a little bit more of her beautiful cleavage, pretending to be a little too warm. But I didn't fall for it. I maintained eye contact with only a sly little smile suggesting that I knew what she was trying to do. Doing this built up so much sexual tension that she eventually directly asked me if she could kiss me. You don't always have to be looking at her eyes, though. Try glancing at her lips from time to time. Think about how plump and juicy they look. Think about how much you want to kiss them. If you do that, you'll naturally start using the next nonverbal flirting technique. 2. State projection. Emotions are contagious. State projection is just a fancy way of describing the natural process of empathy. If someone feels an emotion very strongly, people around them will start feeling that same emotion to some degree. This is why you can feel what a musical performer is feeling when you're in the front row at their live show, and also why it doesn't affect you nearly as much if you're just watching it at home on YouTube. You see, our brains have something called mirror neurons, which cause us to feel whatever it is other people around us are feeling. The effect is generally stronger for women because, simply put, we men are usually emotionally stupider. So, a good rule of thumb to remember is this: whatever you feel, she feels. Therefore, a good flirt is also a master of his own emotions. Going back to the topic of emotional elicitation, it's much easier to take her on an emotional roller coaster ride if you can put yourself through it in a controlled manner first. Want her to feel comfortable and relaxed? Make yourself feel comfortable and relaxed. Want her to feel excited about your favorite hobby? Talk about it with the genuine passion already within you. Want her to feel turned on? Allow yourself to be turned on by her beautiful radiance. If you're an adult and you still have trouble controlling your emotions, you can start growing up through various methods such as regular meditation, cognitive behavioral therapy, or even just breathing exercises. A man knows how to control and manage his emotions in mature ways. A little boy allows his emotions to control him. Be a man. Don't be a baby. 3. Escalation of touch. I saved the best for last. This is by far the number one most important part of flirting: escalation of physical touch. To be clear, you need to navigate this with a lot of consideration for a woman's sense of safety. Consent should always be at the forefront of your mind with every one of these techniques, but with this one especially. You'll want to start with friendly touching that you would do to anyone, regardless if it's someone you're attracted to or not. For example, social etiquette deems that you would usually start with a handshake if you meet someone for the very first time. Make a habit of doing all of these socially expected forms of physical touch depending on the relationships and context with anyone and everyone. For example, if you met someone only a few minutes ago, if you're having some friendly conversation and you built up some rapport, it's not uncommon to lightly touch them on the shoulder when emphasizing a point or saying their name. If you've been flirting with a woman and you can clearly recognize that she's been enjoying it, maybe even flirting back, gradually escalate physical touch to more intimate levels, just as you would gradually escalate all the other flirting techniques. If you sense any discomfort, of course you should back off. If she's reciprocating any of the signals you've been serving, though, keep it up until things get even hotter and steamier. I'd get into more specific details, but I don't think YouTube would allow such sensual content. If you want more of those specific steps, though, I got you. All of that's just the tip of the iceberg. This was just a crash course. And I had to censor a lot of details that could get a lot of people angry at me. There's a lot more to flirting than the basics I've outlined here, and there's a lot more to attraction, dating, and relationships than just flirting. If you're interested in learning more, I recommend checking out my book, Never Lonely, the Uncensored Guide on How to Attract and Be Loved by Women, available now on Amazon in both ebook and paperback formats. If you're tired of all the toxic and misogynistic messages coming out of the manosphere, but still want to navigate the world of dating successfully as a man who's attracted to women, this book is for you. Learn how to fill your life with women not through domination, manipulation, or hate, but through respect, integrity, and love. Check out the book by clicking the link in the description below.